Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to, I guess, what used to be a big deal, signing day, National Signing Day, which is now more in December. They still some stuff happens today, but it's not the hoopla it used to be.
No, you missed the hoopla. The hoopla back in the day was outstanding. On this day, right now, there'd be nervousness, excitement, a lot of drama going on. Usually a big breakfast would be at the stadium. Oh
Really?
yeah, because everyone was you're usually in the office by early 5:30 because things, if you're on the East Coast, because fax them at 7, so they're coming in at 6 and
fax machine,
the old school fax machine was great. And then there would be everything would get in. There wouldn't be the head coach have a couple press conferences that day, so there wasn't a ton going on in the office with some follow up stuff. And there'd always be a huge event that night. There'd be one. We used to go to one in Omaha. There'd be 1,500 people at it. Yeah. Just crazy. Cocktail hour. People going on. So you had to walk around, talk to everybody. You got up and you spoke. And then in general, I said like that. Usually, like after that night, you were usually off for a couple of days as an assistant coach. You get like Thursday, Friday off. So that was a big thing. So you've been pushing and on the road and grinding.
Oh, great! Yeah, he was grinding.
Yeah. Simple bringing it, but it was a big day. It was a fun day. It was all on one deal. There'd always be a few storylines that came down and all kinds of different stuff that went on. So
it was. It is.
Is it Sarcastic Wednesday? Is that what we have? Is that what we're doing for the? I just want to make sure I'm up to speed, so I know, because I can get on board real fast. I can jump into this real fast, but that's what we're going to go to. Yeah.
I was getting overwhelmed just listening to it.
Yeah.
I assign my personal growth to those days.
Yeah.
I do. My personal happiness is wherever Nebraska's ranked. That's how happy I am for that year in the recruiting rank.
Yes,
there was way more fun things on the recruiting rank. It was never something that was never a huge deal.
It's Sarcastic Wednesday.
I know. Everything that he says, we don't know if he's real or not.
That's okay.
Sarcastic.
Buckle
Wednesday.
up, kids.
It's gonna
Buckle
get
up,
choppy
kids.
2 hours.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
All right, now we're going to
bear.
What are the type of things we're going to talk about today?
Well, of course, we'll talk about the big news of yesterday. Sean Payton is now the head coach of the Broncos. There's also another coach hired in the NFL. I'll tell you that in a second. And I want to ask, what's more important to an operation working properly, a great quarterback or a great coach?
Love that question.
College, NFL, high school, I don't care what level. We'll talk about that. And Sean Callahan, next segment.
What about you? Did you forget that there was a Nebraska basketball game?
I didn't forget. We'll get to that eventually. I'm not going to start the show off with it. Nebraska lost last night by 16 points to Illinois, 72. Is that right? Yeah, 72-56. It was tight for a while.
Nebraska tried to pull off a miracle last night, and
they actually led.
I kind of admire them for the approach they took. Sarcastic Wednesday. They tried to turn the ball over on 27% of their possessions against a Big Ten team on the road and actually win the game.
Well, they actually had a chance for a while. They looked pretty good.
No, it'd been a miracle.
Despite the turnovers,
it'd be a miracle.
It was awful.
They tried to pull off a miracle.
19 turnovers.
27% of their possessions ended in a turnover. And I could tell Fred's beyond pissed at this point. That's 3 straight games where they've just been rocked by turnovers.
Yeah, Derek Walker had 6 himself.
Oh, God. He's 21 in the last 3 games.
He wasn't right. Last night, something didn't look right with Derek Walker. Just like, I don't know, his level of interest. I'm not trying to speak something for him, but he didn't look like the Derek Walker we have seen earlier in the season.
We'll get back to that. We're going to get into this Sean Payton thing with a question that you guys maybe could answer. I don't know. Now, Bill, okay, no, I'm not going to say what he said before the show. He doesn't like what I say, what he says
off the record, off the air. Yeah. Double whammy there.
Right.
He does a lot of that. Takes things out of context and then just throws it in the middle of something.
Don't do that.
It's okay.
What?
It happened a lot at the Journal Star, too. It happened a lot there, too. It happened all the time.
All right. Yeah. I don't like Sarcastic Wednesday.
You started it. I said buckle up. Didn't I, Josh?
I don't like this. Yes. Let's just go straight shooter Wednesday now.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Boring Wednesday.
We're already changing the description of Wednesday. That's great.
All right. Sean Payton,
the new head coach of the Denver Broncos as of yesterday.
He returns to the sideline which makes it puts him 6th among active coaches in terms of total wins. Who are the 5 in front of him?
Currently in the
active.
Bill Belichick, Andy Reid,
Okay,
of course.
Mike Tomlin.
John Harbaugh, probably.
No,
Really?
Tomlin would be one.
now, Jake, you're the first to miss. Okay,
So we got 3. Tomlin.
You got
I'm surprised
Belichick.
John Harbaugh.
Hold on. You got Belichick, Andy Reid, Tomlin.
2 more then.
2 more.
Current head coaches. Pete Carroll.
Bam.
Yeah.
Number 4.
I don't think you'll get 5.
Oh, we're getting 5. Is it a current head coach or is he an assistant coach?
Active head coach.
Okay, all right. We'll get it then. Process of elimination. We will get.
You won't get him.
I got to go Cowboys.
Oh,
Mike McCarthy.
Bill
Mike
just got
McCarthy.
it.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
All right. See?
Yeah.
Give me a real
No, not how you started the day. Not doing that yet.
one.
We'll see how straight
ye
shooter
a
one. I
little
asked
they
him for
go.
a fist bump, and it was like a
Yeah,
a 7th grader.
yeah.
No, that's giving too much credit to that
Yeah.
fist bump.
Yeah.
I was like a juvenile.
You didn't think we could get that?
I didn't think
There's 32 teams in the NFL, we know the head coaches of each team.
I didn't think you get
Process of elimination.
There you go. But that's why it's a deal. Big deal, Bill.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, we should call him Big Deal Bill.
Big deal, Bill. That's a pretty cool nickname, actually.
That is
Big Deal Bill.
Could have thrown that out yesterday when I was getting arrested.
Don't you know who I
You
am?
know,
I'm Big Deal Bill. Come on.
Yeah, we should get back to that later too, because there was something came up again today.
No.
Yeah, there was another situation
This morning?
in my head.
Oh, in your
Oh,
head.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Big Deal Bill.
Big deal,
Now,
Bill.
Big Deal Bill. This is a big deal, Sean Payton. Ask anybody in that division, AFC
West.
Ask
AFC
anybody
West.
in the AFC West if it's big. Now the Raiders are going to get buried now, right?
Raiders are in trouble because the Broncos now have
Peyton.
Sean Payton. With I hope maybe he can fix Russ Wilson. We'll see if that's possible.
You have the Chiefs.
Mahomes and Reed.
You have the Chargers.
Yeah, Herbert, and
Trouble.
what do the Raiders have? They don't have a quarterback.
Yeah,
Derek Carr's not coming back next year, probably likely.
I mean, Sean Payton automatically makes the Broncos a threat to win the division.
The playoffs for sure.
Get in the playoffs. It's a big deal, Bill. Big deal, Bill.
I think it's more playoff than win the division.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
agree
that was a little aggressive.
That was.
A little aggressive.
The Chiefs are still in the
But,
division.
yeah,
They're still there.
It's still the Chiefs. It's still the Chiefs. You're right.
But Sean Payton, again, we saw last year just an absolute train wreck this year in Denver. Nathaniel Hackett was awful. I mean, he got fired before one full season of being a coach.
It's demonstrative of something that's odd to me. How can you go from Hackett to Payton? It really illustrates how bad Hackett is. You had Hackett as he's replacing Hackett? I mean,
Well, there's a thought that Hackett was an up-and-coming coordinator that could be a head coach. That
Yeah.
was obviously an incorrect thought because he was not ready to be a head coach.
yeah, you see where I was going
From
with
week
that.
one, you could tell this guy's not ready for this, and he just got worse and worse and worse. And now he's just the back to coordinator for the Jets, no longer a head coach.
Peyton's almost it's almost automatic playoff now. I mean, it's
Careful.
careful. He was
The reason that's chance to be automatic, if we want to go with that word, would be the defense. That's why,
Defense
because they've
is
got a
loaded.
really good defense.
well, he's an offensive coach.
And so they have a chance, because anytime you have a really good defense, you have a chance. You look at all those losses that Hackett had. How many of them were one score? A lot of one score losses. So it wasn't 38-7s going on because the defense. Offense did not play well. Defense played really well. So they can just get that up to speed a little bit better. They're going to be in games and have chances. And you have a veteran head coach to how to handle situations will be much better for them.
Peyton, of course, is an offensive guru,
Yes.
right? Peyton led New Orleans to the Super Bowl championship in February of 2010
Against the Colts.
Yes. Made the playoffs in New Orleans 9 times in 15 seasons. They'll be in the playoffs. The offense will be better a lot, and the defense will still be good.
I would think they were the number one most disappointing team in the NFL this year. Because,
Really?
again, you got Russ Wilson, and Russ Wilson was terrible.
What year is he? How many years has he been in the NFL?
He's been in the NFL for, this is going to be probably his 11th or 12th, I want to say. I think 2011 was when he was at Wisconsin. That was the one year he was
One
there.
year,
So yeah, somewhere 11th or 12th year in the NFL. And his last year in Seattle, he was starting to show some signs of dropping off.
That's a lot of mileage. That's
There-
a lot,
it-
that's
that
a lot
is.
of tread.
it is.
But Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are guys that are older that have still been very, very successful. Now, Rodgers didn't have his best year this year. Neither did Tom Brady, but he was 46, and Rodgers is pushing 40 here. Wilson's still what 34, probably 33, 34 at this point. So if you go by those guys, he's still got 5, maybe 4 or 5 solid, really good years left of being an NFL quarterback. But if he's like Tom Brady, he's got 10, which I don't see that happening.
And they got Jerry Jeudy. Who else they got?
Cortland Sutton.
Jake knows these rosters.
It's incredible.
Yeah, they got Jamal. What's the running back's name? The guy from North Carolina, Javonte Williams, really good running. Got hurt this year.
Okay.
And then they had a bunch of problems at running back with fumble issues and injuries. But they did have an injury-ridden year. It wasn't just a lack of, hey, Russ Wilson stinks. They had a lot of injuries. Right. Offensive linemen went down.
Right.
Skill players went down. They lost 3 running backs to injury. So it was just a terrible year. So if they stay healthy, that automatically helps there. But on paper, you would think, yeah, Sean Payton helps him get to the playoffs for sure. Weird things happen. Mm-hmm. But it's certainly an upgrade in Denver. A massive win.
Yeah, it's an upgrade. Now, it appears that Harbaugh got bypassed. Did Harbaugh just not get a job? Did he want a job and not get one?
Who's the more desirable coach? It was Sean Payton or Jim Harbaugh?
Payton.
Then maybe they said, we're going to do whatever it takes to get Sean Payton.
Is it Payton? I said it maybe a little too quickly. Is what would you guys say? Who would you take right now? If they're standing in the room and you can pick one, who you picking
for the NFL?
Yeah,
I'm taking Payton, but it also gets interesting with Harbaugh's had great success, and there was no draft pick with him, so that does make a slight difference with no.
It does.
That's a first round draft pick. What if your first round draft pick is one of the best pass rushers over the next 8 years?
Yeah,
that does a lot for you. So there's at least a conversation. Because Harbaugh has had success. He did not win the Super Bowl, was in the Super Bowl.
A lot of success.
Was it NFC Championship 3 times? Is that right?
Probably.
Something like that. Won at the University of San Diego.
Yeah.
Won at Stanford.
Yep.
I mean, did a great job. That was when Pete Carroll was still at USC.
That's right.
So it wasn't after he left.
That's right.
And so then he goes to Michigan and does what he's done now. So it's not one of those. It's not a 90-10 deal.
No, it's not. I said it a little too quick. I mean, I don't want to.
Yeah, there's plenty of reason to pause and think that Harbaugh's the better coach. But I just think because Sean Payton's been NFL through and through in all this, and he's been successful in pretty much his entire tenure in the NFL, I would pick him.
I just wonder if Harbaugh wanted other jobs. If he had just set his sights on this one, was he involved anywhere else? I don't know. I haven't heard any reports.
Well, I think the question for these guys is, the Broncos are locked into Russell Wilson. He's not going anywhere. No one wants to trade for that contract. He is going to be a Bronco for several years. You got to make it work with him. You have to. You're locked into him. You traded draft capital. You paid a lot of money. That's your guy. Does Harbaugh and Payton think he's fixable? Does somebody else think he's fixable?
Well, obviously they do.
Well, Payton took the job.
Yeah.
So maybe he thinks he is fixable. And maybe Harbaugh did as well. And if that's the case, if you're a Broncos fan, you're saying, okay, he is fixable. Maybe if those two think he can be fixed, then we shouldn't be panicking over here.
Probably not.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. That's dicey though. That's a big part of this.
But discussion. It is. But the deal is, as you guys mentioned, that they've already traded big capital for Russell Wilson. They trade a 1st and 2nd round pick to get Sean Payton, which I told you guys before the show. It's still weird to me that coaches can get traded.
Denver's sending New Orleans the number 29 overall pick this spring. And then next year it's a 2nd round pick. So, and then New Orleans or the Broncos, get Peyton and New Orleans 3rd rounder in 2024. Yeah, it is kind of weird.
I just don't get. John Gruden was traded from the Raiders to the Bucks, and that was like the first time I ever recall the trade of a head coach. It's happened maybe once or twice since. It's just weird. I struggle to wrap my hands around that.
This is big. I think this is big for Denver. When this whole process started, the RAF, we were talking about it. I thought the feeling was Denver's not going to get Peyton. They want him, but they're not going to get him. Now, when Harbaugh came on, I thought, okay, well, if they don't get Peyton, they'll get Harbaugh, and that'll be excellent. Harbaugh would be excellent. But they got Denver. This is a home run, Bill. Big time, Bill.
Big deal, Bill.
Big deal.
Big deal. Yeah,
he already forgot your nickname as of 3 minutes ago.
How do you hashtag me and then you don't even? Gosh, dang it, guys!
It would be very simple, to start a hashtag on Twitter and then forget it.
Forget it. They keep saying it on the radio over and over. Just need to go to this or
big time Bill.
Yeah,
I thought it was big deal, Bill.
It'd It'd be very simple, huh?
It'd be
I
very-
caught that. I caught that.
Well, would you agree with that though? Do you
Sure.
Guy?
Yeah.
Sure. Big deal, Bill. This was a big deal, Bill, in Denver. If you lived in Denver, this was a big deal.
Absolutely. There's a lot of excitement right now. It's gonna
I
build a
think
lot of.
so. I think so.
You have, like I said, someone that's won a Super Bowl. Also, he's got a personality. You know, he has
He
a little.
does.
I think that players are going to want to be there with him. I mean, what's going to come down to is, which I don't know, is what do they have in free agency money that they can be able to bring a couple people in with them.
Jake,
Like that with the contract, with how that will be with Russell Wilson, and so what they have left to be able to bring people in, that will be a big part of it. Don't ever forget that talent is what matters. That is what matters. It's not magic plays. Some people like that, like they say Hackett got brought in because he had the magic plays from Green Bay, like that. So they had all those touchdown passes that Aaron Rodgers threw, all those plays. He had them all. Didn't go so well.
Yeah.
So the magic play guy doesn't work.
Yeah, see, now that's an interesting discussion, and I agree with Bill on that. In fact, my line of thinking was affected by Bill, who has said that to me over the years, or at least in the last year. I am never that guy that, okay, a franchise is looking for its next head coach. Okay, who are the hot coordinators? That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a Harbaugh. I mean, I'm looking for a leader of men, not a guy who's not a Mike McDaniel who's buried in a
Here we go.
who's just buried in a play sheet and then freezes up in critical
We had
moments.
the freeze. We'll call it the freeze. The 4th and 1 freeze.
But do you see where I'm going with that? Why is it? It's not always, by the way, go to the hot coordinator. I'm not on a DeMeco Ryans train. Like what?
Texans hired DeMeco Ryans yesterday, the
Yeah.
49ers defensive coordinator who was outstanding this year.
No, I would be
Former
more.
Texans
I
player.
would be more, excited about him because my take on him is again leader of men.
Okay,
It's
Ryan.
It's not magic defense. It's not. I have this certain. They have this certain calls or this certain defense we run that's way different than everyone else runs, and so that's gonna be the magic to it. That the leader of men part. Who would be the most famous NFL coach that went to be a head coach that was not even a coordinator in the NFL? Went from another team to be the coordinator, to be the head coach, but was not a coordinator.
Never a coordinator.
Never a coordinator at that time.
And he became an exceptional NFL coach.
Exceptional.
Never a coordinator.
Not any type of coordinator.
No, okay, I'm going to give you a hint. He's the head coach of one of the 2 Super Bowl teams. That gives you
Nick Sirianni, then, right? Or maybe
and he missed it. And he missed it. It was 50-50, and he just didn't even come close.
I lost the coin flip.
And he missed it. No, Andy Reid. He was the tight end coach for the Packers.
I should know.
He got the head job.
Is that right?
Got the head job at with the Eagles.
Now that's
unbelievable.
It's
Unbelievable.
not.
And the best part was you threw it out so fast, like
No.
I know
I
the answer.
said it a little bit sheepishly. I said,
Now, here's the
Nick
deal,
Sirianni.
though. I understand where he's coming from because Reed is regarded as a fabulous player, one of the best.
Also illegal. I mean, he owns the locker room on both sides of the ball. Clearly, he's the one that can handle on both sides of the ball. So it is a critical piece. The leader of men, especially in my opinion, in college, is way more important than having the perfect expertise, X's and O's. You'd much rather have somebody that can oversee everything. Some people get so shot on one side of the ball, and so it's really tough on someone. If you're a play caller, and it could be NFL, but especially in college, if you're the play caller and your side of the ball is going bad, how can you be a good head coach? And you're the play caller and things are going bad. That's very difficult for you to be able to handle all the decisions of what's going on. Just to be able to come down and talk to the defense, or if you're a defensive coordinator, there'd be times that I know in my mind, if I was the head coach and they just went down the field twice in a row, just boom, 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 boom. It's not like, hey, what are you thinking about? It's like your mind's a little elsewhere when you're that person. Yep. But to be able to step in and be involved on both sides, absolutely, and to be able to have some sort of what's going on in the whole situation. But the overall program leader is much more important than someone that is tabbed as being a offensive or defensive guru.
That's why now I've told Jake this. If I were an AD, I'm hiring a a non-play caller. I want a PJ Fleck. I want a Harbaugh.
A CEO.
A CEO. That's what I want. And I haven't always been that way. Probably in the last 5 years, it dawned on me. I don't want a guy who's in a play sheet all game. Doesn't have necessarily a feel for what's behind him, what's going on special teams. I've heard head coaches at Nebraska say, "I don't even know who kicked that field goal." I was thinking about the next series. Red flag. I'm just saying.
Anyway, nice job on the 50-50.
Thank you.
So close.
You. I got
so
close.
Sirianni.
How many guys
just threw that right away?
Well, come on.
Raised his hand.
He's the lesser known of
Sirianni.
the two, right? Sirianni is still like if you had to go to a bar and say, "Hey, who are the head coaches?" Oh, Andy Reid. What about the Eagles coach? Doug Peterson? No, he was there. Nick Sirianni is the head coach there. Mm-hmm. How many coaches that you've been with called head coaches called plays?
There's
like
been
what percentage?
There's been several. Urban didn't call plays. He was heavily involved in the offense all week, but he didn't call it. I know for a fact for several of my good friends that have been the coordinator at Alabama that Nick Saban does not call the game on defense.
No, I know.
But the week is set up, and you call the game like he wants it called. You know pretty well. It's like you're basically calling things like this. Like you're like, I know what Coach Saban would call here. All of a sudden, it's not just out of the blue. Like I know he's probably going to want, 3rd and 19. He's probably going to want this coverage or what some form of a simulated pressure or whatever. I'm just going to go zero coverage just because I want to. That doesn't happen. It's called, so it's set up that way. So I've been on both sides. You never want to take away from someone also that they're really good at though. At the same time, like that. Coach Frost was really good at offense. He understood offense well. But they said that I was never part of that.
I know.
But so at Nebraska, when I was there, I wasn't part of any of that.
I understand. Now Saban is heavily. You would say, hey, Saban's heavily involved in the offense too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
On how the game, on what he wants, on what he wants to see on the field,
right?
How he wants things to be done. Obviously, he's the one who made a huge change from how. I mean, they were built as a defensive coordinator would want your offense built to be. They were complementary football run, and then he finally realized that not really realized he understood that we can do more offensively because I can also get that talent. We already talked about the talent that he had when I had to go against with LSU. So when he had all of a sudden, it's like, you know what? All of our receivers are first-round draft picks. Our quarterback's first-round draft pick. Our running back's first round. We can probably spin it around a little bit more.
Right. So if you just go through the top 4 guys, Saban doesn't call plays. Program manager, excellent CEO. Kirby doesn't call plays. Program manager, excellent CEO. Harbaugh doesn't call plays. Program manager, excellent CEO. Dykes, program manager, excellent CEO. Dabo doesn't call plays. Okay. I know. How far do I got to go with this?
I'd like to see go 4 more, if you could. If you had it.
About Lincoln Riley.
Is he calling?
Yeah, he calls plays.
Is he calling?
He calls plays.
Well, that's a problem.
One exception, but it could be an exception to the rule for you here, right? One exception.
Now, I'm always a big fan of probably because I'm on that side of the ball. Also, the top 2 are both what? Defensive coaches.
True.
So defensive coaches have a lot. Kyle Whittingham would be thought of right now as one of the most elite coaches coaching. He's done at Utah, what he's done, all those things. We should get him to call in.
Hell yes, get him on the show.
Heck yeah, we'll get Kyle to call in.
Big deal, Bill.
Yeah, we'll get him to call in.
We have been big fans of Kyle Whittingham for many years.
Now he doesn't call plays. Program manager
does not call plays.
Yeah.
But again, he's heavily involved on defense. Obviously, he's a defensive background. But I've always liked the defensive thought of it because trust me, on defense, the first thing you're talking to your offensive guys are, let me tell you what it really sucks. What's really hard. Like I've always said when I talk to the media, those guys on offense get paid a bunch. Every coordinator that I had to go against this year, everyone was making over $1 million. So they're pretty smart guys. And they don't run dumb plays. Like, let's run this one. That's kind of dumb. Run it anyway. No, they don't. Every play is a well-designed play with what they're doing. But defensive people do a really good job with I remember I sat down with Steve Craigthorpe was the head coach at Louisville.
Craigthorpe.
And so I said, great guy. And his son now is the assistant wide receiver coach for the Bengals.
Okay.
So anyway, me and Steve are really good friends. He was at LSU when I was there, and he had just got done with his career, so he still stayed on at LSU. But we sat down one time, and we were just talking about, at that time, quarters was such a big deal. And we sat in his office, and I go, I'll give you about 8 things you can't cover. And it was like, after
quarters coverage.
Yeah, after the season, he's like, "Oh my God, we threw a bunch of touchdown passes against that stuff." Because sometimes, I mean, trust me, offensive guys know, but maybe they don't know the little nuances of what is really, really hard against the coverage and what to be able to get things done. So a lot of times on defense, you can help the offense with, "Hey, this is what is really, really hard to stop with what you do." There's nothing worse, though. I will say this. Sometimes defensive coordinators that are head coaches that were defensive guys. They want to go in and give the offensive guys like 10 plays. Hey, run these 10 plays. If it's not built into what you do, then it's a disaster.
Okay,
it's a disaster. Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes when you're talking, I think about something that I have. Depending on who you talk to, you get different answers on this. But I will not waver on what I feel. Especially when I hear you talk. People who say football is a simple game, it's a simple game. I'm just like, no, it's not. There's virtually nothing simple about it.
There's so many moving parts.
Right.
You got 22
not
people
simple.
going at one time in the in-game decisions. There's a lot of times, I'd say, in basketball, there's, from the tip off to, whatever's going on for the next, it's just up and down the court. There's not a lot of crazy scenario. Also, hey, there's 2 seconds left. Well, when's that going to happen?
Right.
It's a shot clock situation, or those things don't happen as much. There's a lot of situations, a lot of decisions getting made, but where the coaches are heavily involved with what's going on. And so then that part, I love the one that's always like, just on defense, keep it simple, get them to play hard.
Right.
I'm like, would love it. We did simplify a bunch, but it's like, hey, they do a lot of things. You have to adjust to what they do.
Right.
It's like, well, they're going to line up an empty. Keep it simple. Hope it works out. Well, they're going to throw to number 2.
Just run to the ball.
Yeah, just run to the ball.
Just run to the ball. That's all you got to do. Just really run.
Stop thinking and just find the ball.
Just find the ball.
I'm always like,
eyes on the ball. Do you want to look at the man we're covering? No. Eyes on the ball.
11 guys.
11 guys. Whenever you see that you think the ball went that way, you take off. What if it's a fake? Just go hard. Just go really hard. Double back. Yeah, double back on it. Just play hard. That's the way I say all the time. It's like, that was one of the signals we used a lot this year on defense was just play hard. We didn't signal the defense in. We just signaled let's play hard. That was it. Just line up however you want and just go like hell. Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
I know.
When you come off, hey, what happened
baby.
on that? They hit us on the counter like that. I don't know. I just played hard. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. Well, I have no idea. We was playing hard. Just balling.
Sarcastic Wednesday.
Yeah.
Sarcastic Wednesday.
Yeah.